Right, so we're live. We're live. I think it'll be normally when I do a live stream, guys, it's like the first couple of minutes it takes a little bit of time for people to arrive. But for the benefit of anyone watching or anyone who's going to be watching, this is a SafeCoin team meeting, and we decided to be a little bit bold and do it live. So we're going to be talking about a lot of different things that the team is focused on. And you can see I've got it on gallery view. I can change it to speaker view if you guys prefer. But right now I've got it on kind of like the multiple gallery view. Bitsy's watching. He says, looking good, guys. Torres saying hello all. So have you guys loaded up the laptop? Can you see the comments and all that? You guys here okay?
Yep.
Jeff?
Yep.
Yep. Okay. I think Key is going to join us in a few minutes as well. He's running a little bit late. So Jeff just sent me a kind of loose agenda for today. So we just discussed that. The first one you were talking about there was the SafeTrade official launch and where we're at.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I think we'll probably have people are just getting used to this new software, so we're going to have people kind of joining in later as we go here.
Yeah, I think they'll be testing their mics and all that as well.
Yeah. Yeah, we usually have more people, and I think it looks like they are trying to get on. The SafeTrade official launch was the first topic. Now, Risman from Bitcoins wanted to get into that a little bit as well in terms of the auto exchanger, which is going to be another component of SafeTrade, which will work for the kiosk Z. So we can talk about that as well. But basically, I'm trying to get the official launch out this weekend. For me, I've got a 4-day weekend, so I've got tomorrow off as well. And trying to get the front end of SafeTrade finished. Also working on a new user interface. So hopefully members of the team can test it out ahead of time. So if there are any issues after we've launched it, we can nail those down as quickly as possible. It's got a white interface. It's possible to do night mode with it as well, but that'll take a little bit more work.
Nice.
And I'm updating the back end as well. So we'll want to test those features as well, and if there is anything missed, make sure we were the first ones to address them. So you'll notice a few different functions. For instance, there'll be a minimum trade size. So I know some people
that's something we've been needing, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Because we went through a spell. Who was it? Did we find out who was doing that? There was someone who was doing like 0.1 for the trades to try and push the price down or up.
0.0001.
Yeah. Huh. That was very, very annoying.
Yes. We had high trade volume by number of trades.
Well, that's it. We're beating Binance now. We could put that in our logo.
Oh, yeah. Easy.
So what else have we, I've just loaded it up. For the benefit of anyone watching, like the software that we're using allows us to share screen, but if I do that, the page will freeze because of the way it minimizes the window. But I'm looking at SafeTrade in the background here, and you know, obviously you've got the main interface, you've got the markets, the time, you've got the graph, then you've got the bids and asks. Is that going to be is that roughly what it's going to be still like? You know, is it still going to be like that, or?
It'll still have all those features. I don't think anything we're looking at there will still be there the same way it is now. So the front page will look different. The UI will look different. You'll have different features. One thing we're adding is there's going to be multiple accounts per user. So working on that right now. And sorry, I was delayed a little bit this morning. I was hoping to get part of it launched out this morning. Didn't quite make it. But there's changes to the back end as well. The back end's going to be upgraded. So when you click on a currency, like say if you're on Bitcoin Z or SafeCoin, you'll be able to have multiple account addresses. Now that was actually done to help kiosk Z out function properly. So eventually there's going to be an auto exchanger, which is going to allow for point of sale transactions.
How
now,
would that help? How would that help a trader? Just like, just like someone like myself who was trading, having multiple addresses.
you can keep track. You can keep track of your funds better if you want to designate certain portions to different kinds of trading.
Right.
So basically, you can just manage your funds a little bit better if you want to. Eventually, like we do want to be a major exchange. Eventually, that's the goal, really. So some of the major exchanges have that too, where you can actually kind of like segment off your funds. I'm adding it. The reason we prioritize that feature is because it's needed for the auto exchanger as well, so that we can track funds a little bit better. If a restaurant has different kinds of menu items that they want to keep track of, or orders they want to keep track of. So say if they have multiple kiosks and they need to separate them out, it's one of the ways that they can better track that for themselves. So
Right.
It's being brought in for that reason. But if I'm going to bring it in for them, I'm going to bring it in for everybody. So that will be one feature we have.
Yeah, I might as well activate it. From a sorry to kind of go off topic here. There's an option for me to only display people that have got webcams. Does that make it a little bit weird for anyone watching, you think? Because I can make it so there's only myself and you being displayed, because we're the only ones with webcams right now. But I don't know if that's confusing, because that means that there's like 7 people in the team meeting and it would just be me and you. And there'll be like all these other voices being displayed. I'm not sure if that's...
Yeah, if it makes it work better though for the user experience.
You'll see what I mean if I... Right, okay. I'll try and change it back then. I'll remove non-video, but everyone else can still chat. See, as far as a UI point of view, like, is there any other exchange out there that this one looks similar to, the new one?
Yeah. Oh, this...
like the new version, you think, is there any... You know what I mean? Is there any... I don't know, like any other exchange out there that's got a similar UI? Or is it going to be...
No, the UI we're adding has never been launched before on any exchange. So it will be...
Oh, okay, that'll be interesting.
A unique UI. And we'll customize it further. So the main reason we're changing the UI is because the newer one is easier to work with. It's easier for us to maintain and upgrade. So it's going to be based off Angular, and it'll be a lot easier. I know Luke loves JavaScript, so for that reason alone, we're going with Angular, and we'll be able to continue to enhance it, add new features. Like when we want to add a chat box and things like that, it would be a lot simpler to do that.
All right, okay.
Chat
Yeah,
box.
I'll be happy to test that.
Yeah. I don't know if we're going to get the chat box into the official release, but we're definitely like I'm working on it in the background. Like that's something we'd like to have for sure.
What's your views on chat boxes?
Well, I'd be interested in you guys' views. Personally, I think they're good for smaller exchanges, and that is what we are right now. You get to a certain size, and eventually it becomes unruly. Like I don't know how you.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Because I've seen it on Cryptopia.
Yeah.
I've seen it on a few other places, and it's just spam, and you see a lot of people trying to like manipulate the price and all that as well, and just discussing it on the actual exchange, which is kind of bizarre. Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm kind of skeptical of that, if I'm honest. I don't know what anyone else thinks about that.
One comment that was made in chat is you'll need to have a moderator. I'd go a step further and say maybe a team of moderators.
Yeah, a platoon of moderators. That option to remove the video thing has disappeared. I can't find it. Yeah, I mean, I've seen that before on Cryptopia, and I think, does Trade Satoshi have it? There's a few of them that have it. You know, see, I was just saying, if you have a chat box, you're going to need a moderator. We could always test it and just test it for 24 hours and see what happens.
Yeah.
Just absolute anarchy.
Well, yeah, I mean, our exchange is very much tied to Discord either way. So we do deal with that now. We have lots of people coming in with their opinions, and they're often price-based. And so we have to deal with that. But yeah, whether or not to have it on the trading screen, well, that's a good point. I guess we can think about that. If we want to skip that, we can, because I will admit, like, we do want to grow, and you do get to a certain size where chat boxes just don't work anymore. So,
I mean, I'm happy to go with what everyone else says, but personally, it'd be a no for me, I think. I mean, I haven't seen a chat box that I thought has made an exchange better, if I'm honest. And if you look at Cryptopia and a few of these other places that have them, I think Cryptopia has one, doesn't it? Or Trade Satoshi, one of them has it.
Yeah.
If you look at the comments, it's, you know, the average IQ is like 5 or something. You know, it's just people posting smiley faces and different things and asking about. I don't know. I think there's a better way to create a community. I think.
yeah.
What we could do though is just show the latest tweets from Twitter. Maybe something like that would be better.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think we could organize our Discord channel a little better to facilitate traders as well. I mean, I'd like to try to keep it all in one channel if I could, like keep SafeCoin and SafeTrade in the same channel. But yeah, I notice sometimes when you look in the general chat, it turns into sort of a trading discussion, and you guys should go buy this coin that we just listed. And so it's kind of like, maybe we should have that as its own category where people can discuss the different coins that are listed. But,
yeah. Yeah, I mean, well, this is something we kind of touched upon this last week, didn't we? There's certain things that we're looking at that we know is going to bring more people to the community as far as being listed on calculators or anything like that. But we also know when that happens, we're going to have more B-Shoy fastest clutter move ever. I don't know if you noticed that, Jeff, but basically my camera was back to front. I realized there when someone said that, I didn't even realize when I was looking at the camera. There's a silly option that says mirror effect. I don't know why you would even need that, but it was putting everything back to front. Yeah, I fixed the clutter. It's went from that side to that side. Yeah, I think, you know, as we grow, I think we're going to have more mods and all that. But we've did it kind of correct so far. We've set this up well. See, with the safers thing, I think that was a really good idea. Because essentially you're just recognizing people in the community who are invested into the coin and the project, and they're helping out. New nickname for Kev Flash. Yeah, that's something we'll need to discuss in the future as well. I'm keen to try this. So what's the idea with the new UI? Is it just like staff to test it first? Are we going to ask safers and all that as well? Are you looking for trades and things like that as well?
Yeah, well, we can do some brief testing, and make sure at least the team. Yeah, we can do it with the safers too. It's hard to, no matter how much testing we do, it's going to work a little bit different when it goes live. So, yeah, it's different when you have actual volume and things like that on it. So, but yeah, we can try to do a little bit of testing with it ahead of time, and then from that point, I think, I'm confident that it works. But we can try that out, and then when it goes live, look for anything that's missed, because when you have live data running through it, it's just going to function a little bit.
Yeah, I've had problems with this in the past as well. When you test things and everything's working in the test area, and then you click publish, and then you notice that it's all went crazy. It's hard to see your own mistakes as well, because sometimes if you've ever did any kind of coding, it's hard to spot your own errors. You need a fresh pair of eyes to see it sometimes.
Yeah, you do. Yeah.
Right, so that's something we need to set up. Some testing for that.
Yeah, I'm seeing a question. Half my team's in the group chat. I think they're having issues with their cameras.
That's okay. Well, that's the thing. When we were talking about this the other day, this was something that I can understand, you know, because I think this is a really good idea to do a team meeting live. Whether this goes well or not will maybe determine whether we have another one live. But I can understand, you know, because to give people who are watching an idea, like last week when we were watching it, we had, was it Bitsy that was walking, he walked like 10,000 steps. He was just walking around his house and there was like noises in the background. And then there's, you know, there's some people that perhaps don't want to have their face online as well, which I understand. So yeah, but the thing is weird because we've actually got 7 people in this stream right now. Like team members, but because we're the only 2 with webcams, it looks like it's just me and you. Let's say 10,000 steps. Yeah, it was 10,000 steps.
So what happens if I talk? Do I appear at all?
No, you don't talk unless you don't appear. But I think I've basically cropped my image to hide the bottom menu so that I only see the video, if that makes sense. But at the top here, like if I click show non-video participants and you start talking, it'll show like the little audio symbol next to you.
You get like massive bold text that comes up when you talk.
I was thinking I could do like the voice of God when they're talking.
Yeah, well, the good thing is when you do talk, a big giant sign saying Equipool comes up.
Yeah, so, it's a big yellow box.
the more you talk, it's like Equipool, spread the hash.
Is there not an option? We are obviously testing this software as far, you know, it's the first time we set it up, and we probably did. I tested this earlier, but this goes back to what you were saying there, Jeff, where you test it and you're like everything's working, but then 10 people arrive at the one time, and you know everyone's trying to set their mic and their video and their profile picture and not. I don't know if there's a profile picture you can display when you're not displaying your video. That might be something in the. Let me see. I think if I disabled video, maybe that would display my profile picture. Right, this could be risky. Let's see this. Yeah, so that displays my video. So if you have a profile picture, you can assign it to your profile so that it will display your picture when you don't have a webcam. Maybe that's something we can do.
One question we're getting in there is deposits, the number of deposits. So that's really just a function of how much security we want. So you want to find balance there. Being safe trade, we probably do want to have more confirmations than the other exchanges. So if something does happen, we're the last ones.
I think that's a good point. What you're saying though, Jeff. I don't know if you. He says, "Can we get details on the deposit page?" So
yeah.
So he's asking just for it fixed, so it's always displayed.
Yeah, the next version is going to show. So that's already coded in. The next version will have the number of deposits on.
Oh, that would be good.
Yeah, it'll have the number of deposits. It'll have the fees, so you have to see that when you log in. You'll know what the fee is. Right now, all our fees are basically nothing. So that's a nice, easy way for us to keep track of it. We're not really generating any revenue yet, but at least the fees are simple. Now, yeah, so once we do the official release, you'll be able to see your number of confirmations needed and the fees. Any other information you need should be there. We'll slowly reduce the number of confirmations as we get more comfortable with this, but we don't want to be unreasonable. Like, it has to be safe, and the more confirmations you have, the more secure your trading is.
Have we got it set up differently for each coin? Like, has every coin got a different?
Yeah, they do. Most of them work out to about an hour to 2 hours, depending on the coin. So
this will help stop the double spend attacks and all that a lot of the exchanges were getting.
Yeah, it helps a lot with that.
Right.
See all the faces. Me too.
Yeah, I know. I mean, if there's anyone, Key's going to join soon, but if there's anyone who's not using a webcam right now, you can always just display a profile picture or something like that instead if you want.
How do you do that?
I think that there should be a profile. I don't know if you maybe have to sign up for that. I'm not sure, but for me, it's in the account. There's like an account area, and I just added my picture and it displayed it. So when I stop my webcam, it displays a picture from me. That's actually like 5 years old, that picture enough. But yeah, it displays the profile picture when the webcam isn't displayed.
I actually have a profile picture, but it's not displaying.
All right, okay. Oh, I don't know. Something we'll need to put this in the agenda for next week. Someone was asking about masternodes, but you had that at the end of the agenda, so we can talk about that at the end.
Yeah. Okay. So Riz wanted to discuss the auto exchanger a little bit. He wanted to know where we're at in implementation. For that part, the biggest thing for me is getting the exchange of it into official release, making sure we have all the features of the exchange. Then the actual auto exchanger is going to utilize the exchange's API. But I'm upgrading the API as well, so that's got to come first. I want to make sure all of that is running right, and then from there we can wrap the auto exchanger around it. What's required to sign up, how to set it up. Yeah, that's going to be, it'll be like a manual process. Now, I think he's talking, Riz, can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Oh yeah, which one are you looking at here?
When we're at implementation, what's required to sign up, how to set it up, and when we can expect it to be operational.
Yeah, essentially, I wanted to find out what I'm starting to try to document everything here for this. So because we have people that are actually out there trying to push kiosks to businesses, and the catcher that they all want to say, okay, I can get US dollar, I can get euro, I can whatever they want. We haven't approached the point yet where they're looking to hold what what comes in the door. So they want to trade it out. So I just want to start the process of documenting. Okay, that way I can give them a pamphlet. Okay, go to this address, do A, B, and C, do this at C, D, and E, and you'll be up and running from there. So that's the concept behind it. Those questions were very general. I apologize if I hit you with a
no, that's fine.
Yeah, but that's essentially what I wanted to get from you, just so we can start building out in the material for these businesses that are approached, so they have an idea what's to be expected to get them up and running.
Yeah. Okay.
That's a good point, because a lot of people that will be expected to handle all that integration will be beginners.
Yeah.
And they'll be saying, like, what is Bitcoin and things like that, so yeah, I think we need to make it as idiot proof as possible.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, so we're probably, like, when we start out, I'm assuming we're probably going to manually set up a lot of it for them. Like, we'll take their information.
Yeah, I imagine the same as well. When we get started, we're going to have to.
Yeah.
So would it be like a test restaurant first? Like one that would be like a pilot?
Yeah. Yeah, right. There's a couple that we're scouting out that have shown interest, and they're just waiting on they're waiting on the fiat conversion ability.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Do they have the kiosks yet?
Those are still in print. I have, you can see some shells of kiosks being built here. Yeah, my wife's killing me right now. Different colors.
And a live demo of one of them.
Yeah. Oh no, I don't have it right now. So if it's, I will be presenting something in the next couple weeks with just an update, and I'll have some live demonstrations. Hopefully, I'm hoping to have a small army of them ready for that video.
That's awesome.
Very cool.
Yeah.
That looks a lot smaller than I expected. I guess from all the big giant screen images.
Oh,
And then I see you holding one. I'm like, wow, that's tiny. That looks much more viable to see on a table while you're
Yeah,
eating.
because I thought it was going to be like that size as well. I thought it was going to be huge.
yeah,
Okay,
that's there.
yeah.
There we are.
So is
That's about-
so it's like a 7 or 8 inch tablet essentially.
Yeah, exactly. 7 inch. It's running off of a Raspberry Pi core, so it's running off of Raspberry Pi with on top of that a 7 inch display. You hit it right on the head.
Oh, nice. That's good.
So, yep.
Looking good.
Yeah, that's good.
So we'll be building from the back end out. Like right now, I'm definitely working on the back end, making sure that it can handle multiple accounts, making sure that the API is doing what we need it to do, and in such a way that it's secure. So that's kind of where I'm at right now, getting that set up. From there, we can start to build out from there and get to a point where we can set up an account for someone, which I'm thinking we might have to do on the first one or two, and then sort of build a front end around that. So that's where I was going anyway, is to get, now I can do it the other way too. Like we can build the front end, and now maybe that would help you guys in terms of getting the word out if we start with the front end. But yeah, what I have been doing is working on the back end.
I think that's more important, anyways.
Yeah.
Getting the bones up and running. We can work on the sidelines with the GUI.
Okay. All right. Yeah, and
Yeah, if you do it the other way around, it's just a PR disaster waiting to happen. What's the old cliche, like good news travels fast, but bad news travels faster?
Yeah.
So if you do a big launch and it's not working correctly, then it's going to stop you before you even get started.
Right.
so timelines, I'm thinking.
So what's other things you've airdrop bounty programs as well? That was something else that was mentioned.
Oh yeah. So what we want to do once we get Safe Trade up and running fully, I mean it's fully running now, but once we have the official release of Safe Trade, we have it looking the way we want it to look, and it has all the features we need. We'd like to actually really market SafeCoin, go out there and do some serious bounty programs and airdrop programs. I just realized that's me making that noise. And we've got like a squeaky chair here. We'll get that fixed. And see if we can basically really increase the size of our community, bring in new blood, and get the word out there about SafeCoin. Something we haven't really done ever at a large scale. We have had smaller bounty programs and airdrop programs. So I just wanted to get some ideas from you guys on how to go about that. I've seen some really bad airdrop programs where a bunch of people show up, take their coin and leave, and you never see them again.
Someone was talking about that last week in last week's meeting, that there's a collection of people that just jump from Discord to Discord, get the airdrops and then leave. I mean, I suspect surely that's just a small percentage, though. It's like, I don't know. It's like if you give away food at a supermarket to test something, a lot of people wouldn't buy it. You need to realize a small percentage of people just aren't going to mine it. They aren't going to buy it. Yeah, I don't think we can worry about it. But I mean, airdrops isn't something I've really followed, so I don't know how do they normally work. Is it mostly on Twitter and Facebook and things like that, or do you do it within the Discord? Or because we talked about a few things as well, like safe trade competitions as well, as far as volume and trades and things like that as well. Yeah.
I like some of the more creative ideas. Yeah, I think having seen some of them, yeah, if you do your standard airdrop where you just turn on a bot and start giving people coins, you're not going to get anywhere. So yeah, there's some things you can do. You can do skill testing questions where they have to know something about SafeCoin, and basically just educate people on what SafeCoin is. And even if they don't buy it, just having knowledge spread about what SafeCoin is valuable to us. You can have them play a game. I don't know. I don't
It's really
know.
just to get out there. It's Sand Surf 72 said the ambassador program should be good for what you're talking about, Jeff.
That's
Better than
good point.
airdrops because it builds real relationships, not just people that hit and run for some coin.
I like the ambassador program. Yeah, I'd have to agree with that. I think, the ambassador program allows for a little bit more focused connection with the community we want to connect with. So I like that idea.
How would that work though? I mean, the most popular one I've seen it with is with Bitcoin Private, and I've been a little bit critical of their ambassador program because I think sometimes the ambassadors have done more harm than good. Because you see them on Twitter and they're constantly shilling Bitcoin Private, and a lot of them are very nice people, but essentially they shill Bitcoin Private, and then when anyone asks a valid question, they say stop promoting FUD, and then when someone asks a technical question, something, you know, I think I've got a basic understanding of general things, but people are asking things, very simple things that any miner would know, and they didn't know how to answer it because they don't know anything about mining or that side of it. It's difficult because I do realize that those people can help promote your project and, you know, raise more exposure of your coin, but they're also a reflection of your coin. And if, you know, if you're on Twitter or something like that and every ambassador is just posting, I mean, some of the comments posted by ambassadors, there's some really intelligent ambassadors for Bitcoin Private, but there was also some that really don't know anything about how anything works. They don't have any understanding of blockchain or mining, and yet these people are ambassadors for the coin. So do you have to be picky? Do you have to? Is it more about volume, the number of people doing it? Is it more about? I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud as to what could cause problems.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think you have to be very picky about who the ambassadors are, and you need to make sure that the ambassadors are educated. So actually spend time with them and talk to them and make sure that they understand.
I mean, I think perhaps ambassadors could be more of an extension of the Safers program, more than just, you know, apply and then you can, you know, be an ambassador. Maybe as far as Safers go, you know, you're bringing in people that are part of the community, that are helpful, that are helping people out. That are passionate about the project.
Yes. And
this is exactly what you want as an ambassador. You want someone who knows, you know, that follows what's happening, and isn't just saying SafeCoin is the best and then putting their fingers in the ears if anyone says otherwise. You know, I think if you pick the right people, the ambassador program could work well.
Yep. I think
Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was actually going to, on you go, I was actually going to read another comment that's all posted there by Mr. Rick.
I think the ambassador program can be very helpful, but you do need to target it. It can't be your only approach. I do think also a lot of coins make a mistake. So you do get to a certain point where you want to really expand the use of your coin, and I think we're just approaching that now. We've got a couple other deliverables to go. And we're going to want to really increase the use of it. Having said that, yeah, there has to be some thought put into it. One thing I'd like to do also is look at some groups that are not typical for marketing. There's entire channels that are just devoted to developers, talking about where things are headed. Crypto developer channels, things like that. We can promote it in there too. I'd like to build our development team as well. We do need more people working on our tools and on our blockchain. We have a lot of developers now who are doing a really great job. We can always use more. We have Luke, who's been doing amazing things with the wallet. We have Alexander, who's built a ton of stuff for us. B4RDO, who's done a lot of work.
I think you've done it the right way. Not to sound too much like a shill, but the team's kind of grown organically. I've looked at a lot of new projects, and from the very, within day one of launching, they've added 10 different moderators, and I mean, that's not enough time to know anyone. And it's just, they've added all these developers, they don't know who anyone is, and it does allow them to kind of launch with a bang. But it also means you've got all these people, you don't know who they are, you don't know if you can trust them. You really want to be growing organically and adding new developers, over time, and make sure you get the right people rather than just adding people for the sake of it.
Here's a question I was asked in chat. Mr. Rick said, are the airdrop coins coming from the pre-mine, and how transparent is the pre-mine?
So they can. Definitely the pre-mine, one of the purposes of the pre-mine is airdrop. So that's definitely one of the things they're for, and we've done airdrops with the pre-mine before. I mean, obviously you want the pre-mine to last many, many years, so you're not handing out $4 million coin, 4 million safes on an airdrop. So you're looking at, like, okay, over a 10-year period or so, how much should be spent over such a course of time on airdrops, and what should be spent now. But the other channel we have, and by the way, so everything. This is kind of funny. This is supposed to be more of a team chat, but basically the pre-mine is entirely transparent addresses. So there are no Z addresses. You can trace the entire pre-mine. Now, for the other avenue we're looking at is you can actually, so there's voting on coins, right? So there's people who vote to get their coin listed on SafeTrade, and we've already built up a fairly good stack of coins just from voting. So we like that. It takes the coin out of circulation. One of the things our team was discussing is, should we just leave those coins out of circulation indefinitely, or should we use them for airdrops and marketing and promoting?
Yeah, that's as you know, I'm for that. I think that's a good way to do it. I think we kind of touched upon last week. We were talking about the different ways that we can gauge how SafeCoin is growing, as far as trading volume, SafeCoin price, Discord users, all these different things. But the voting is kind of tied to all that. And if you're seeing more coins wanting to get listed on SafeTrade, it is an indicator as to how the coin is growing, because SafeCoin is obviously tied to SafeTrade. Yeah. I guess you could use the pre-mine, but I do like the idea of all the money from voting just getting put back into some sort of marketing campaign to help it grow, or we just give it, an airdrops or competitions or something like that. And in theory, if we continue to grow, if the project becomes more popular, then every week, every month, we're getting more coins, submitted for voting, which means it goes back into more airdrops, more competitions. In theory, I think the way we left it last week was that we could always do it as a test and just see how it goes, and just track all the different metrics that we've got, and then take it from there and see, how effective it is, and see, because you maybe find that an airdrop might affect Discord users but not trading volume, or it doesn't affect the hash rate or anything like that. So maybe we need to track that if we do. I'd be voting for maybe doing a test for that, to see how it goes. Yeah. I don't think we need to run in there and do like offer 1 million coins and an airdrop of that. I think we should be testing things. Do things at a small scale. Get some numbers. See what works. See what doesn't. See what gives us what we want as far as more traders, more miners, more people passionate about the community, and then see what is performing the best, and then take it from there.
Yeah. No, I'm just looking on the chat there. There's a lot of suggestions. There's charity, there's burning, there's marketing, a little bit of everything in there. Burning transaction fees. Yeah, would be...
think coins.
Yeah, so lots of good ideas. It's straight. The thing with burning is we're already so limited supply. Like, we could, but we already are fairly limited. There's never going to be a ton of SafeCoin out there. So we could burn, but we might actually, I feel I think it really depends. We do a test run. Maybe we do a test run first of airdrops and bounty programs and see what kind of response we get, and just really build up expertise and good marketing. B2B is always an option too. Yeah, B2B is a good idea. Yeah.
Dai was saying, would we ask other exchanges to add SafeCoin, or would we be better make our best to improve our positions in the exchanges themselves? Will we be asking for a permission to add SafeCoin? I don't know if I'm reading that right.
I think they're trying to say, like, should we get more exchange listings, or it's
well,
tough.
That's another thing that the pre-mine and the voting could be used for.
Yeah, it can. Yeah. I would like to see, so once we get Safe Trade fully up and running, so once we have the new UI, the new front end, the new back end, I'd like to reassess it then and see where we're at. We're already starting to get some exchanges listing as for free. The question, I think really, like, to me, the value would be is if you're going to get listed on an exchange, I'd like to get listed on a major exchange personally.
Yeah, rather than just a few small scale exchanges. Yeah, I've actually seen a lot of new coins doing that, and they're always added to CryptoBridge, but they also get added to a few smaller exchanges like, I don't know, Gravix and a few others, but yeah, they're all kind of similar volume, and they're just, I think they'd make a bigger, well, they'd get more exposure if they just got added to a much larger one with a lot more volume. So yeah, I think that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I think possibly if we target one larger exchange, that's just myself. Like, I'm totally open to discussing that if you guys have different opinions.
We could always drop a list of all the top exchanges and then compare the submission fees and all that as well, and get an idea of what we. I mean, I think a lot of them, what are they all about, 1 or 2 Bitcoin? A lot of the top ones, or more than that.
Ooh, I would say the medium to low ones are 1 or 2 Bitcoin.
Yeah. There's some that are 10 plus Bitcoin.
Yeah.
It's insane. That's how, you know, some exchanges, that's how the whole thing is structured. All the profits just coming from submission fees.
Yeah. Yeah. It depends. You can work out deals with them. Some of them, sometimes what you want to do is if you see an exchange that's growing that you have faith in, then you can invest in that. With Crex24, I think our team talked about a lot, and we thought it was an exchange that has potential that could become a major exchange in the future. So that's one of the reasons we went with them. That's another consideration, is we could list with smaller exchanges that we believe can grow.
Well, that's the other thing, you know, it's making partnerships that will hopefully last years, and partnering with perhaps exchanges and other exchanges that's on the same level, rather than aiming for the big boys where we're just another number.
Yeah.
It's hard, you know, there's so many different ways to do this, though. I do understand why people are asking for that, though.
Yeah, no, you have to be careful. I know at one point, I think last week in our last team meeting, we talked about listing with Yobit, and then it was pointed out that half the coins on there are off chain. Like, they're not. It's like, well,
but that's, I think the issue we had was that there was certain calculators that say you need to be listed on these exchanges to be added to a calculator for SafeCoin to be shown, because SafeCoin, you know, this is something that will happen soon, but SafeCoin isn't added to what to mine and a few other things, but in the future it will be. But
yeah, no, I agree.
But that's the thing. What's the most important thing right now? Is it getting listed on a big exchange, or is it bringing on more miners?
Yeah, no, exactly. And we'll talk about CoinMarketCap too. I know a bunch of us applied to CoinMarketCap last week, and we got we got about 5 rejections and one potential yes. So let's see how that turns out this week. But
yeah, I got an email back and it was kind of a generic no, but thank you.
yeah,
No,
they send the same one to everybody.
Yeah, they said that it was like it doesn't meet our requirements, and then I replied, so what are the requirements? And then they don't reply.
Yeah, or they take a long time too. Yeah, so we got the one back where they said okay, and then they asked for more information, so we gave them that. We're just waiting to hear back. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, well, we're already on CoinLab and a few others, aren't we?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. We should get Safe Trade listed on CoinLab though, so maybe we should review if we can get somebody to review our spreadsheet and go over other places we need to be listed on. Okay, so what do we have? We have roles. I guess that goes to roles and responsibilities. We were going to talk about that. Who's doing what?
Yep.
One of the things is we wanted. So we've got our basically our list of places we want to be listed on. That's for the coin and for Safe Trade. So maybe we can assign someone to follow up on that and see where we're at. We've had a lot of success there. We've listed, it's like since we started that, we've been listed on at least a dozen different places that we wanted to get on, but there's still more we want to do. Now,
the one thing I need to do some blog posts this week. I was too busy last week to get many done, but if we do more team meetings and Q&As, I think we should always share it on the blog as well, and get it on the blog and just share the video as well, just so it's easier for people and it's more traffic to the website and all that as well.
Yeah.
Sorry to rewind, Jeff. See, as far as the exchange goes, I know we're talking about the UI and all that. You know, obviously a lot of people watching. What's the update this week with the new coins? I know that we added, was it AquaChain that's been added? What's the other coins that have been added?
Yeah, we added Seki recently, and then AquaChain, and Shield as well.
Right.
So, yeah.
I'll need to look into those. Is AquaChain CPU only? Is that correct, or?
That's what I've heard. Or yeah, it's mostly CPU. Yeah. So
right.
So yeah, they're an Ethereum fork. So yeah, some very interesting coins that we've got on there now.
Oh, is that XSH? Is
that
XSH? Shield one?
Yeah.
Ah, right. Okay. I was getting mixed because it's XSG next to it for Snowgem.
Yeah, maybe we can sort that out with the new UI.
Ah, right. Okay. There's some trades there already.
Oh yeah. Yeah, they've had quite a bit of trades. We need
That's
to.
Good.
Yeah, we need. There's been some withdrawal issues with those coins, so I'm just looking at those now, and hopefully I'll get those fixed up when we release the final version here. So I'm working on that.
Right. This is another rewind. We probably should have brought this up earlier. See with the new UI. See with we were talking about last week with all the different coins being listed. Does the new UI handle that a little bit differently? Is it?
Yeah, it shows them differently for sure. Yeah. So.
Right. Well, I can do a blog post about that. See if I'm doing some testing for that. I can maybe do like take some screenshots and just do a preview and do a blog post about it just to let people know what's coming.
Okay, sure. That sounds good.
Right, so I'll do that this week, and I'll do some one for this meeting to display as well.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So maybe we can take that offline. We need to figure out roles and responsibilities to who's updating the spreadsheet. We need to keep engaging and partnering with other sites to get SafeCoin out there. And safe nodes. Should we talk? We got 10 minutes left. Should we talk about? We left it till last.
Yeah.
So
what was the other one you said? Partnership and integration. Is that more about? Well, we kind of touched upon that a little bit.
We should probably keep this to roughly an hour, and then because I got a lot of work to do on the exchange.
No, that sounds good. Safe nodes. Do you really want to go down this route?
Yeah, we left it till last, so we can say sorry. It's time to go.
Yeah,
we got 10 minutes to talk about that.
Right, okay. So there's a lot of people have been asking about it. please discuss safe nodes. Saved it to the end. I'll even if I hide the non-video people, maybe that helps. Or nah, I'm just. That's weird. Some of the buttons are disappearing. Right. So, well, the last time we were discussed, we were talking about it last week, and you were saying you were doing a lot of investigation about it, and you were talking a lot about it, doing tests and looking at how you want to set it up.
Yeah.
Is there any other coins that you've been looking at as far as how they've got it structured as to how you'd want to do it?
No.
Yeah.
I don't think many of the coins do a fantastic job of it, really. When I look at it, I think it's something we can do a lot better than most of the coins. Obviously, yeah, I am looking at Komodo, and that is one of the reasons we forked off of Komodo, is for some of the technology we have there. So we're looking. I am definitely looking at some of the coins that do notarize, and I've been paying attention. So most of the comments I've seen in the Safe Nodes chat, I've seen a lot of comments about what's the collateral, what is the collateral, and what is the collateral, and then a little bit about the technicals as to how would you do that, how would you make it happen. I guess for me, the biggest thing about the safe nodes is actually we need to make sure that the chain is protected as possible. We want SafeCoin to be SafeCoin, and the safe nodes are going to function in a very critical way there to make sure that we're protected from double spends. So I'm looking at more as, for instance, I'm thinking how many blocks in between. So they're going to have to mine blocks. So the safe nodes pretty much have to mine blocks if we want to protect the chain. So the question is, how often does it mine a block? Does it mine every 10th block? Does it mine every 6th block? If you're going off the idea of 6 confirmations, do you make sure it mines every 6th block? You can go more extreme and have every 3rd block, or Komodo basically 75% of all the rewards are going to notary nodes. Yeah.
Sorry, what was that? 75%? That's, have they got it? Is that how their block reward is structured?
Yeah, well, that's how their notary nodes are structured.
Ah, right, okay.
I personally think that's too high. But I'm interested in comments from the team about it too. Obviously, the more blocks that are mined using the safe nodes, the more secure your chain. But I think you can go too far. I think you can go way too far.
Yeah, some of the ones I've seen are 20% proof of work and 80% masternodes, which is ridiculous. I think I was speaking to Vertical Coin briefly, and I think they are 70 for miners, and then like 20 or 30 for masternodes.
Yeah, that's not bad. That's
yeah,
not bad.
I think that's kind of similar to Zencash as well.
So while most masternode implementations do part of the block reward going to a masternode and the rest of the block going towards miners, you're talking about every number of blocks being mined only by masternodes, not by miners, right?
Yeah, so like most of the masternode implementations are really more, it's an actual, like the masternodes don't actually mine the block. Now, whereas ours, the masternodes do mine the block. Now, that being said, you brought up an interesting point, because what the other coins are doing is they'll take a proof of work mining, and then with that, they'll split the reward. Now, we can do the same thing, but in reverse with the safe nodes. If we wanted, we could potentially have the safe nodes mining half the blocks, but they give some back to the miners. It's obviously tricky to do that, though. We need to.
Would it do it in some sort of like interest method instead of, because who would you give the reward to? You can't really give it to any specific miner.
It's hard. Well, yeah, unless you, I mean, you'd have to have some rule around it.
It'd be interesting if the nodes, the super nodes, funded some sort of POS. And so any coins mined, not any, but like say half the coins mined by super nodes would go towards a POS distribution.
Yeah.
I don't know how complex that would be to implement.
We could do that, yeah. We are looking at introducing POS as well down the road. We probably started off as more proof of concept and had just a very, very, very small amount of rewards going to POS. But yeah, we could do that. It's trying to find out the right balance because you want to have the benefits of proof of work, and you want to maintain your mining community. You don't want to just because obviously the nodes can centralize things quite a bit if they're not balanced. So I don't know. Like in my head, I was kind of thinking with safe nodes, they may start out. I kind of like the phased approach. It gives people time. Like we could have a first phase where safe nodes get like 5% of the rewards, and then we slowly increase it from there. Similar to how we've had our emissions reduction, we could have safe nodes gradually rise. But I don't think we ever want to get to the point where they're mining 70% of the rewards.
That becomes a members only club at that point.
Yeah.
This is something I need to learn more about myself as far as masternodes and how they're all structured, and most of them just seem to have a simple split as far as 70-30 or 50-50. But what you were saying there was that it could be every so many blocks.
Ours would actually mine blocks. That would be the bigger difference with ours. So we wouldn't be the only ones doing it, but it is pretty rare. So pretty rare to actually have a...
With another coin, the miners are doing all the work, but just a certain percentage of it happens to go to the masternode holders. But the miners are the people that actually find the block. That's
typically what happens, yeah.
Right, okay.
So in that scenario, they can be double spent just as easily as any other.
Could there kind of be, maybe this is an idiotic thing to say, but could there be any kind of time restriction on masternodes as far as like this is another thing that's kind of discussed in the masternodes Discord group, and people are saying it should be at least 20,000 coins, it should be at least this amount of coins, but that's based on the fact that the price is the same at 4 or 5 cents, which it won't be when we're in CoinMarketCap, what to mine, when masternodes are announced. The price is going to go up, so all of a sudden, instead of being $1,000 for a masternode, you know, it can become $50,000 or something, which is insane for a coin that is still super low. But how do you tackle that? Because I don't know if you could you do like some sort of time restricted thing and say this month the requirement is 1,000 coins. Next month, because the prices went up, the requirement is 500 coins. And next month, I mean, I don't know, that sounds like a nightmare to implement, but I'm just trying to think, I think the fact that the price is tied to the overall cost of a masternode.
Yeah.
I believe I mentioned this last week in our private meeting, but Loki has something like that. Like, it's based on the price, so it will always stay the same price for a masternode, but depending on the price, it will cost more coins or less coins.
How much does that cost then? Well, have they got it set $500 or 1,000? I like that idea actually. I would rather. I know there's maybe a small percentage of people who are like, you know, I've got a lot of coins, I want it, you know, to get a great return. But I think if you give a huge return at the start and then it fades away, people will just leave and invest in other projects. I'd rather a slow, steady return, kind of like what Zencash are doing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know. I'll look into what Loki are doing. I'll need to check that out because that sounds interesting. I think that's a better idea for me. And I'd rather make it, you know, I've got 30 GPUs and, you know, I've went to some of these masternode coins. I'm like, I need to mine this for 2 months to get it. But then there's people with only 6 GPUs and they're like, I'm going to have to mine this for 7 months to get it. And I don't know. I'd rather make it more achievable. I'd rather people were like, oh, I can mine this with 6 GPUs for a couple of weeks and I can get a masternode or something like that, you know.
So at least for master nodes, there's a difficulty with that in that so the master node is locked in by the transaction that you submit to the master node address. And so if you send, 1,000 coins, that's what you can start the master node at. And if we change a requirement, usually changing the requirement requires a quote unquote fork, probably a soft fork, for what the collateral is. So you'd have to constantly be releasing updates to the node and constantly be chasing consensus, which complicates things a little bit. I don't know how you would change, like there's a pretty distinct disconnect between the price in the centralized world compared to the coins in the decentralized world. So I don't know how you'd get the nodes to know what the price is without it being a security issue, where if nodes are pinging some sort of API, well, that API can be hacked and, can be given false values just to get you to get the nodes to accept a lower collateral. So I don't know. It's possible, but to do it the right way, I think it's quite complex.
Yeah.
I'll check out the white paper on Loki, see how they handle it.
Yeah. It is a really cool idea. If we can get it to work.
Where's my phone?
But I think the way that people work around this issue is what you see with several coins, is that they have different tiers. And so the smaller tier is easier to get into. You don't earn as much, but you're also not putting out as much collateral up. For as far as like fair value for some sort of node that makes residual income, from what I've seen, about $2,000, $2,500 US is about a good price point for these nodes.
Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah, a couple things we're looking at too is, so if we do tiered, say we have like, say, I don't know, like a 15 to 20K tier and a 50K tier and a 100K tier or something like that. We were also thinking of like some of the higher tiers might have rights to actual commissions from the exchange, or might actually eventually be promised in time to handle transactions in the decentralized exchange. So when we launch Fair Exchange, eventually some of the master nodes would play a role in that. So another thing we need to figure out is, so would all the nodes be doing that, or would that be the higher tier nodes? I'm not sure.
Just looking at the comments here, Sandy Surf was saying, I'd like to see 50,000 safe node price. Bitsy said that's not going to happen. Yeah, I think it's too high as well, that kind of price. You need to remember as well, it's a 36 million total supply. 50,000 is incredibly high. It is a difficult thing to try and manage.
No, I guess it depends. Like there is a technical part to it too. Like you look at what Komodo's done, and they've done because these nodes are actually mining blocks. They're doing a lot more than what most nodes do. So they have 64 nodes, and it's a pretty good system they have. It's not a perfect system, so they have if 51 of their nodes fail, then they lose protection. Another thing they can do is if I think it was 42, if 42 of their nodes collude, they could also perform somewhat of an exploit. Not a very good one, but I mean, I think we could probably improve on that. Komodo's got the 64 node thing going on, which is a lot less than most. Like most coins have a lot more than 64 nodes. But if we want more nodes than that, we need to think about how we're going to do that, because they are changing. They're not a typical masternode, and so that's one thing. I'm kind of wondering if we might need help from the pools on that too. Bishoy said no.
We'll see with Komodo having 64. Does having more nodes help from a security point of view as far as collusion goes, or does it not matter because someone can just buy up the coins and just set up multiple nodes?
I think it
just seems 64 just seems low to me for a coin like that.
low. 64 is low. Yeah, it's
I mean, I need to look. I'm not criticizing Komodo on that. I'm just saying, as far as collusion goes, if you've got 61 and you only need 30 or whatever to get collusion to cause problems. Yeah, that it's hard. See, when you look into if.
Don't believe anything Bitsy's saying in chat right now. Just for clarity.
Right, those 64 nodes cost them $6 billion annually in Bitcoin.
Yeah.
It's probably good that he couldn't make the stream today then. Sorry, mate. Yeah, it's kind of difficult. Like, see the fact that we're even discussing this. The Komodo setup sounds good, and what I like. I need to read more about Loki, but the idea that's tied to price, that's something that kind of appeals to me, so that you're not excluding too many people. But what's clear, if you look at a lot of other projects, 90% or more of the Masternode coins, they've just went, yeah, we'll make it 70-30 or 50-50, and that's it. They've not thought about it. There's no purpose to it. And they're just, it's more of a selling point more than anything else.
Yeah.
But I guess you need both. It needs to be practical. It needs to be for security, but also, I guess it needs to be a feature that encourages people to invest in the project.
Yeah. Yeah, mining speed's asking about a purpose. But I think we've just been talking about that, so I think there's probably a delay in the video chat. But
yeah, there's a delay about a minute or so.
Okay.
Actually, from a YouTube point of view, I used to have it where it was almost instant, but when you do it like instant like that, YouTube doesn't allow anyone to rewind. So there's like a little 30-second gap or something.
Yeah. Yeah, just to clarify, so the purpose of mining the blocks, if the safe nodes actually mine the blocks, and it's a little bit more than that, but as long as we set it up right, basically our chain becomes nearly double spend proof. So you always want to be careful when you say you're double spend proof. But we would become very, very, very resistant to double spend proof if we set this up right. Whereas a normal masternode just doesn't do that at all. So ours actually would. Now, once we're double spend proof, that allows us to do things like have a decentralized exchange and not be worried about people abusing it with double spends. It allows us to have much far fewer confirmations on the exchange. So instead of having a 1 hour confirmation or 2 hour confirmation, you can get down to like a 10 or 20-minute confirmation, knowing that your chain is going to be secure in that period of time. So it allows us to actually have a much more usable, safe coin. That's really what we want.
So that then benefits the exchange long term, because obviously people don't want to take two hours or an hour for any kind of deposit.
Yeah, sure.
That's interesting. I mean, you also touched upon, I don't know if this is something you want to expand upon just now, but you also touched upon maybe it can be used for commissions from the exchange or something like that in the future as well.
Yeah, so the decentralized exchange itself, I think we could do more to make the same exchanges more decentralized, because all of the exchanges still require a certain server component. Even the decentralized ones have servers running in the background. I still kind of think that's something Komodo can work on. You've seen it with CryptoBridge, where CryptoBridge is decentralized, but all of a sudden they're shut down for 2 days.
I think it was longer than that, actually. I think it was, yeah. I think I tried to check it over a week, and it always seemed to be down for me.
Yeah, so there's still a server component to them. Now, I do think that's something that can be wrapped into the master nodes over time, so that the master nodes are handling that server requirement. You don't have to have that downtime, and then you can also have higher performance levels. So, yeah, and we're over time.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, so the nodes, in order for them to do all this, it is going to require more than most nodes do. So we need to look at how we can set that up reliably. We may come back to our pools and talk to them and see if we can work something out. So the pools might be able to help us with the reliability of the master nodes. And also that could help us allow the lower tier of master nodes as well.
Yeah, as far as pools go, this isn't something that's on the agenda, but does Cat's pool still have 70%? Is that still... No, I noticed it the other day.
Yes, they do.
Yeah, because...
if I can interject.
Yep.
So something that a lot of people don't realize is that most pools have multiple stratums. So they'll have an Asia server, a Europe server, and also a North America server. And each one of those nodes receives a set amount of hash power. And so while the pool's reporting, hash power X, each node is actually getting a portion of that. And so you can't really say 70% is by, one pool. That pool is actually 3 different smaller pools. But
okay, but it's only reported as one?
Exactly.
Right, okay.
I've actually been looking at getting my pool to report how much each stratum is getting. So it's more obvious if one of the nodes is getting too big, but unfortunately adding that statistic is quite involved. So I'm still working on that, but it is important to remember. So if there is a pool with only one stratum, then yes, that's a problem when it gets to 50% and above. But if the pool has multiple servers across the world, then it's not nearly as big a problem.
Do we know how that split is with Cat's pool then, as far as the 70%? Is most of it in the US one, or is it Europe, or?
I haven't seen any pools report that, which stratum gets what percentage of the hash power.
Right.
It's not something that's built into default Xenop or any of those other pool softwares. And so I'm working on implementation now.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked about this before. I'm part of the problem as well, because if you spend a lot of time mining in a pool that doesn't have a lot of hash power and you don't get hit a lot of blocks, you naturally want to go back to a pool that does have a lot of, a lot of people mining. It's hard because you can't blame anyone for joining the most profitable pool as far as getting blocks, but then at the same time, it would be good. We did... on this subject though, we were talking about this the other day. There's a lot of pools for mining, a lot of pools for SafeCoin now, but a lot of them have 0 hash power. And I've seen some people come on and say, "Hey, join my pool, mine at our pool," and they had basically one 1050 Ti mining, their own 1050 Ti. And I do realize running a pool is very, very difficult, but when someone doesn't even have the hash power to even start their pool, it's kind of hard to give them any kind of support. You'd be as well just solo mining yourself.
I personally like solo mining because when you're lucky, you are really lucky. So it's a good.
To be honest, I'd be as well doing that myself just now. In fact, don't say that. I'm mining an Equipool right now.
That's fine. I tend to mine the coins that not too many people are mining on. I like low difficulty anyway, so.
Yeah. It's hard because you want some of these pools to help out and be part of it, but then if they don't have the actual hash power, or they don't have a farm, or they don't have anywhere to point some rigs at it, it's hard for them to even get going.
Yeah, it is.
Could we maybe turn the easy mining technology from the notary nodes around and make it hard mining, each, if you got too many blocks in an hour, like over 50% of the blocks, you have to work through a hard mining block. Is that possible?
That's a good idea. Yeah, that's a very good idea. Yeah. So just to elaborate on that, so the notary nodes, which is what we have the code now. We're not going to implement the exact same way that Komodo did, but we're definitely going to use their code. It's fantastic code. So basically, what they do is a percentage of their notary nodes actually do easy mining, and basically they don't have to put a lot of GPU power in order to get the block, but they do have to still earn a block, and they have to notarize and these kind of things. So, but yeah, we could change it to make sure that we don't have one notary mining too much. You could change it so that they have to do the work as well. So that's not a bad idea. That would actually be, yeah, incorporating notary nodes into proof of work mining, which would be a really interesting concept.
Richard said percentage of market cap for a masternode. That's interesting. Well, I mean, I guess that'd be based on, yeah, kind of similar to price as well.
Yeah. No, that's a good question. You don't want to.
It's clear everyone's got a different idea as to what we should have it at, what price it should be, what minimum requirement. It is hard.
Yeah.
But this is where I keep thinking, because if you look at the bull run last year, I know we're not in a bull run just now, but if you look at the bull run last year, there were coins that had a total supply of, say, 200 million that were priced at $10, $15.
Oh, yeah.
And we're a 36 million cap coin. And I don't think, maybe I've got my head in the clouds, but I don't see why SafeCoin can't be a $1, $5, $10 or more coin. And then this completely changes your mindset as to what the minimum requirement should be for a masternode. All of a sudden saying, you know, it should be $200,000 for a masternode is a little bit insane. I do realise that's what it is for Dash and things like that, but
Dash is just insane.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. But your suggestion, Key, there for Loki, I know Bishoy was saying there are some technical difficulties you'd have to work out, but I do like the idea of saying, right, maybe we should be maybe tied to Bitcoin rather than dollars, but if we talk about dollars, say it's always going to be $1,000, it's always going to be $2,000 or $500 or whatever.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think and price is something that's sort of like out of our control.
Yeah. Well, also that as soon as you launch masternodes or the news comes out that it's going to be launched, the price, you know, every coin pumps at one point, even bad coins. And I think masternodes would be something that would pump a good coin, SafeCoin.
Well, it doesn't always pump. I've seen a bunch of coins that released masternodes and the price actually dropped a bunch, like 15+%. So it's always like 50-50, I guess. Who knows?
What were the projects like though? Were they like long-term projects or just like a new one on Bitcoin Talk or?
Pretty much long-term, like Commercium, when they announced when they announced masternodes, the price tanked by a lot.
I've not seen. I'll need to look into that. That's strange. I would have thought it would have went the other way.
Went from like 10 cents at like the start to like 1 cent, even below 1 cent now.
So what was that? Was that everyone just selling? Do you think that was people were disappointed with what they asked for a masternode?
Well, Commercium had some other stuff going on for it. Like Anthony, the main developer, was gone for a little while, but this was just an example. But there's other coins that have their price drop a lot while announcing or either releasing masternodes. So it's, I don't know, it can turn out both ways.
I think
I've noticed Shield is in a similar boat. They've recently announced masternodes and the price is not really going anywhere. So, and I think one of the reasons is people are just, they're leery of just masternodes. People want something that has a purpose.
Yeah.
And so one thing we talked about a while ago was that these nodes would support a distributed exchange or decentralized exchange of some sort. Is that still in the works?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, I think they can incorporate the server aspect of the decentralized exchange and actually handle the transactions. Also, like the ability to make a double spend proof would help. I don't think many masternodes have that. But price is something that like we only have so much control over that, and like I know some of the stories behind those different coins, and so it's really hard to really get into that too much. I mean, every situation is different. They've all got their own situations, but maybe we need to look at also the release schedule of the masternodes, because some coins release a whole bunch at once. Other coins release them slowly over time. And over that period of time, the price of the coin may change. And so the masternode release is spread over that.
That's interesting. That's good. So like a phased release of masternodes. So would that be like an application process for that, or would you have to have? I don't know.
Well, we would need like our chain would start to get protected after 2 or 3 nodes. Obviously, so there's centralization issues there too, because you've only got 2 or 3 nodes.
Yeah.
Now, granted, it's not like the nodes can 51% attack your coin.
Yeah.
If all the nodes collude, all that means is that your coin is on its own. It doesn't have protection anymore. So the nodes can't actually attack your coin. All they can do is they can be on or off. So you could start with 2 or 3 trusted nodes and gradually add more over time on a schedule, and basically spread yourself out over a period of time where prices change, so that you're not hitting the market with this sudden thing.
So going back to the decentralized exchange item, would you implement that before the nodes, or would the super nodes come into play and then you add the decentralized exchange later and then add that functionality to the nodes, or how would that work?
I was thinking of adding them in later, like how our decentralized exchange works now in the sandbox. Anyway, it's not using the nodes to help it. But there are some points to the exchange that I think are centralized, and a master node would actually help decentralize them if you have a number of master nodes running it. So my thought was start the decentralized exchange, and then start integrating the master nodes with it. What are your thoughts on that?
It's tough because Safe Trade is just now getting ready to be released. And so you don't want to rush and release too much at the same time, because then you can't support all of it. It's better to make sure Safe Trade is 100% in a good spot, and then look at, the decentralized exchange aspect next. What about with like DPOW? Does that happen? Who actually does DPOW against another chain? Would that be these nodes, or would it be all mining, or what actually connects to the other chains?
So
I'm sorry if I'm throwing a hard question. Curiosity is killing me right now.
yeah, it gets into, I guess you could say the nodes do it. It goes back to, it's like there's this component called Iguana, which handles a lot of that as well. Now, I guess I should clarify, like, we don't necessarily need to notarize Bitcoin or other exchange or other coins. We can. Like I think Bitsy pointed out there in the chat that it's quite expensive to notarize. So that's one thing we're kind of experimenting with now is whether or not we notarize, and if we do, how do we notarize? So I think that's a bigger question, is if we're doing it at all. But yeah, so it does actually go there, and I think there is a little bit of centralization in the notarization step as well. Like all that's kind of funded back to a central point in my mind, anyway. The way I understand and look at it is it does sort of funnel back to this one point that does the notarization.
So Iguana would be the service that holds the actual coins for this other chain, and therefore centralized. Is that what you're saying?
I think all the notary nodes have to be funded to a point.
Okay.
But it does funnel down. So like there's different steps. Like the actual funding, I think they're all funded, but ultimately, yeah, the notarization is there's a centralized component to it. And
okay.
Yeah, Iguana is used for that. So I'm not saying it's entirely centralized, but we need to look at that, how we want to do it. So like notarizing Bitcoin would be a very expensive venture. Though there is supposedly a way you could do it that doesn't require a lot of Bitcoin. We could notarize another chain, like we could notarize Bitcoin Z or Zencash. We could also create our own proof of stake coin, for instance, or any proof of stake coin which already has that resistance built in, and notarize that. Or you can do it without notarization too, and still get a lot of the double spend benefit, or the double spend protection, even without the notarization. So that's some stuff I'm looking at right now. And I think it's fair to say we cannot do it the same way Komodo did it, because we cannot afford we cannot afford to spend that much Bitcoin notarizing. But that's not necessary. There's other ways around it. Ultimately, I think whatever way we do it, we could use supportive pools, and we can compensate that to get it set up to work right. Because similar to like shared masternode services, there's ways to do it where pools can help out and make it work. The average user could struggle just setting up their own masternode.
Official shared masternodes is an interesting idea.
Yeah.
As long as it was, reliable people who are hosting it. I guess my concern is I don't know if you could is there a way to only limit it to people that we approve of? Because if you open up to everyone, you've got reliable shared masternode services, but you've also got ones, you're sending money to anonymous parties, and if they lose all their money, indirectly it reflects badly on the project. But you can't stop that anyway. People are going to offer that whether you like it or not, in certain groups. It's just talking about this whole thing though. I think everyone who's mined SafeCoin, once you've got some SafeCoin and then you start talking about it in masternodes, it's easy to forget that most people that we're trying to bring to the project don't have any SafeCoin yet. And this is why I'm trying to keep it low, to keep the threshold low as far as bringing people in. But just your point there about the security and securing the chain. We're talking about price, we're talking about requirements, and talking about people getting masternodes. I think all of us, if you've got some SafeCoin, greed will take over at one point. You think, yeah, this is going to be great for me. I'll make some money out the blocks. But I think the most important thing you've said today so far is the fact that if we get this chain up and running, we can reduce the number of confirmations for the exchange and for SafeCoin. So if deposits drop from an hour down to 10 minutes or whatever, long term, this could be a better influence. I mean, not to, if anyone's worried about the price, but if anyone was worried about the price, I think long term, that's going to reflect better on the exchange than being a masternode coin or anything like that. I know some people are probably going to hate me for saying all this, but I think we do get caught up in, what's the price of the coin and what's the minimum requirement, but we need to remember it's all about functionality. And what you're saying there is if we can reduce confirmations down to You know, from 200 to whatever it may be, you know, 1 hour down to 15 minutes or whatever. That's going to be the best thing for the project, I think, long term. But it's hard because whether we like it or not, you know, cryptocurrency, there's also the marketing side. You also need to give people reasons to invest in a coin, mine a coin, and all that as well. But I do think long term, if we're thinking very long term, bringing down the confirmation time could be a very good benefit for the exchange, and it could really reflect well on the exchange. I know myself, you use an exchange, you deposit and it's like it's going to be 2 hours. You're like, you know, no one wants that. You want to deposit quick, you want to withdraw quick. But this is the thing, that I guess we do want to keep everyone happy, we want to listen to everyone's opinion, but we have to take a step back and think about what's better for the coin, what's better for the exchange as well, and do, I don't know, maybe even if it is go for an option that isn't popular because we think long term it's better for the coin. But this, well, is, thing, this is a Pandora's box, the one we talk about. You know?
Yeah, and as far as affecting confirmations with the exchange, you'd have the option of, you know, making a deposit in Bitcoin and waiting for well over an hour, or making a deposit with SafeCoin and only waiting 10 minutes. So it really drives use of SafeCoin being able to lower confirmations.
Yeah. And ultimately, if you do have SafeCoin, that's what will affect the price, I think, long term. Well, I mean, Mastno is obviously going to be a factor as well, but I know I still love Digibyte and Dogecoin because the fees are low, and when you send the money, it's accepted really quickly, and you need to get things like that right as well.
Yeah, like we're really looking at a few, like Kiosk Z is an interesting proof of concept there, like the ability to do point of sale with these coins. And, you know, we've set ourselves up pretty well in terms of transaction speed. Like we have 1 minute block times and extremely fast transactions. We can do many transactions per second. We're very, very set up for use. The only thing is the double spend. So if we can take care of the double spend, our actual coin functions extremely well for use. You can actually get the coin, spend very quickly. You can use it to buy something, and the transaction goes through fast. Really, the double spend resistance is that last step for us to make the coin function well. Yeah, I think that's key. We have to look at it not only in terms of, you know, the masternode market, but we have to look at it as the SafeCoin market. How do we make SafeCoin a popular coin that's going to be used in the world, and not only for point of sale, but business to business too.
Yeah. And I do think that, not to criticize anyone in the Discord group, but I think if you scroll through all the discussions in the masternodes room, I'm guilty of this as well, but most of the discussions are on price and the minimum requirement, because people want to know how many coins they need to mine. Sure. But really, when you think about it, that's the last thing we should be thinking about right now. It should be, how are we going to set this up to make the coin better?
You want a coin that's going to function well, where if you have two large businesses who want to transact several $1 million, how do they do that with each other and know that it's going to go through, that they can trust it, that they're not going to have to wait very long? And in order to have that, you have to have a very, very fast, well-protected chain. So we have the speed. Our blockchain is very fast. It has a lot of great stuff built into it, but we need it to be double spend proof in order for it to appeal to large businesses or anybody trying to get a transaction done. So,
right, some good questions there. Sandsurf does actually make a good point that collateral and rewards do matter because holders have to have enough rewards to pay for a server. It's a very valid point, I think.
Yeah.
Mr. Rick was asking, what's going to be ticked off until September, i.e. Q3, before we go into Q4? This is turning in from a team meeting into a live discussion now more, isn't it? Because we're referring to comments so much.
Well, yeah, and that's fine, because these are things we should discuss as a team as well. But we still have to figure out. We need to have more of a team discussion as to the only part that's missing from this meeting is the roles and responsibilities. Is
Yeah, that's something we'll have to discuss.
make all these promises, who's doing what. So we still got to talk about that offline.
Yeah.
So the Safe Trade's going to be an official launch. Definitely, we're going to have safe nodes out by then. But like I was saying, we may not release all of them at once. Maybe we can talk about how we're releasing the safe nodes. So we'll have that out. Will we have the decentralized exchange out by then? I don't know, but we're definitely going to be focused more on the decentralized exchange by the end of Q3.
Right. So moving forward, who's still Key still there? Bishoy. What do you think then? If we're going to do the official launch, do you want to try an airdrop, and we can try it with a small amount and do like 2 or 3 small tests before we commit a larger number of coins to an airdrop? And we can do something. We can test the metrics. We can keep it basic in a spreadsheet. You know, write down all the metrics that we've got.
Yeah.
And then we can do an airdrop, and then we can see how that's affects, for example, Discord users or the HashPower, or the hash rate and all that over the next few days after it. And then at least we'll get some figures moving forward, so that if you do, before you don't want to commit a huge number of coins to an airdrop and then realize that it's not going to work out the way you wanted to. Make the mistakes with small amount of coins. Excuse me. Yeah, so I think we should do some tests in that before you commit any, serious volume of money to an airdrop.
Yeah.
We could even do that before the official launch of Safe Trade and do some tests with the airdrop, and then when the official launch comes, that's when you can maybe push some more coins at it.
Yeah, I know, I agree. I do think there's a lot of coins out there who just shouldn't do airdrops at all, because if you give out a bunch of coins and then people just sell them, what are you doing?
Yeah.
But for us, it would have to be focused on our products. So we want them to use their wallet. We want them to get on the exchange, have a look on there. And if they do sell SafeCoin, maybe they want to trade for one of the other coins, get the volume up.
Yeah.
Or they can see what they can do with SafeCoin. They can get it. They can get a hold of other exciting coins that aren't available anywhere else. So yeah,
that's what Bishoy was talking about last week as well. We were trying. I think it was Bishoy that said that maybe we tie it to trading volume or something as well. Do some sort of competition like that.
No, I agree. So it's got to have a use case attached to it. Like, if they get these coins, they should be able to do something interesting with them.
Could be a weekly thing.
Yeah.
Each week, the one with the highest volume gets a small airdrop.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, nice idea.
Well, I said I was going to keep this under an hour, and I was.
Yeah, it's nearly an hour and 40 minutes. We've went a little bit long. It's been good though. I say this, but I think, did I say this before we started? But Jeff, I think, was it just the other day you added a YouTube account for SafeCoin? So that's something we're going to have to focus on soon as well. Get that launched, get some videos up, and perhaps, this is almost like a test today. But perhaps if we do this in the future, maybe we should start doing it on the official SafeCoin YouTube channel, and start getting content onto there as well.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah.
And get
I think
it's
a good test. We covered a lot of ground here, so I think it's kind of clear where we're headed, and we can kind of talk offline about who's doing what and what we need done for this week. So. Well, thanks, guys. I really appreciate it.
Yep, I agree with that. Thanks, everyone who's left a comment, guys. It's been great. This is something we've talked about a lot as far as we want to be a transparent project. There's always going to be some things that you just shouldn't or you can't talk about publicly because of security or whatnot. But we were saying that, like, most of the things that we do talk about in a meeting, we probably could just share it with people. It's not like we need to hide. Yeah, it's been good. I hope you guys have all enjoyed it. Perhaps in the future, maybe me and you, Jeff, or some others, we can do a Q&A with some people, just do a live stream, and we can a little bit more relaxed about things.
I would
as well.
love to.
Yeah, I'd probably just still be about masternodes again.
I've always got more questions.
Yeah. What was that? Sorry, Bishoy?
I said I've always got more questions.
Yeah. Yep. So you want to tie up with that, guys?
Yeah. Well, thanks, guys. I really appreciate it. Thanks
So
for joining.
I'll get this up in the blog, Jeff. I'll get this video shared up in the blog as well.
Okay. Thanks, Kevin.
Thanks to everyone who's watched. I'll leave a link. I'll get a link to the SafeCoin YouTube channel. I'll put it underneath the video when I get it from the team, and try and subscribe to that as well. We'll try and add. I think we should try and add more content to that as well. Down the line as well. Perhaps Q&As, perhaps live streams. You know, just this was a good test, but we really should be putting that through the official channel. Okay, guys, going to end the stream at that. Thanks to everyone who took part. Thanks to everyone who watched. And anyone else want to say anything? We're good to go.
Good chat, everyone.
All right. See you guys.
Thanks,
See you
guys.